Hi, have you ever asked yourself whether I'm using the right prompt or am I writing an effective prompt to finish my task? Or have you ever asked yourself what is the best practice for writing prompts for ChatGPT or Gemini? This is the topic for today. Hello, my name is Pisek or Benz. I'm from Case Done by AI. At Case Done by AI, we promise to bring you actionable insight about AI and generative AI so that you can bring that insight to empower you, your team, and your work. And also, don't forget to subscribe to us, our channels. You can search it on many social medias, including YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, and even Substack. Just look up for Case Done by AI. Now, today's topic is about prompting. This may be fundamental, but it's crucial for using ChatGPT or Gemini effectively, as well as building your LLM-based custom applications. We have two sections today. The first section is about prompt engineering guide for 2024. This will bring a beginner prompt user to a master level. We will cover the mindset to write prompts, and we will cover 5-level techniques for writing effective prompts, and these are gathered from major providers like OpenAI, Google, Meta, and Entropic. On the second section, we'll talk about MetaPrompt, which is a mega prompt for making effective prompts. Basically, a prompt to make a better prompt. This is generously provided to us by Entropic, and in this talk, I will do a demo for you with the user interface. And at the behind of the scene, we'll use GPT-4o to run this meta prompt. So let's get started. Just for a reminder, please subscribe to our Substack. We will put our blogs in there, and you can take a look at it to refresh on what we have discussed in this live video. So the first topic, prompt engineering guide for 2024. So you definitely need a good prompt, whether you are using ChatGPT or Gemini in your daily work or task, or you are building the LLM-based applications for your team or selling it as a product. Because even with the LLM-based application, you need to write a good system prompt. Andrew Ng, which is a world-renowned expert, suggested that we need to treat the LLM like a fresh graduate from universities. So it means that when you ask the LLM to do something, you need to provide context, enough context, and even some guidelines to help the LLM or the AI to work out its task. And during his collaboration or partnership with many companies, Andrew has found that a lot of effective prompts are usually very, very long. It's not just going to be finished within 2 or 3 sentences. Usually it's very long. And a report from Google actually mentioned that on average, a good prompt counts about 20 words. So this is just to express the importance of writing effective prompts, including specificities and guidelines for your task. All right. We will start off with the right mindset of writing prompts. The first one is just embrace iteration. You're unlikely to start with a good prompt on your first trial. Usually, I will start off with a quick and dirty prompt, maybe just 1 or 2 sentences, and then I will keep refining my prompt so that I can get the output that I want, and I would like the output to be deterministic, meaning if I change some inputs for the prompt, I can still get the same output. I still get the output with the same format. So embrace iteration. Second one, be playful. You will start with a playful mindset. You start something quick and broad and dirty, and then you figure out, okay, this is too broad. I want more specific answer. Then you gradually narrow down to the specific task or the specific answer that you need. So like treat it as a playground. You're building some sand castles, for example. Number 3, you need to understand the limitation of the LLMs. first thing first, the LLM cannot read your mind. So what you need it to do, you need to tell it and provide details. And then that comes to the last part. It starts with you. You need to know what you want. But again, it goes back to number 2. You are not going to start off knowing specifically what you need. You will start exploring the possibility, and then you getting to know yourself more and more, and then you will narrow down to the last thing that you want, or the specific situation that you want. So this is about the mindset of writing prompt. You are not going to get a perfect prompt right off the bat when you start. It's more about iteratively playing with it and incrementally improve your prompt, experimental style. All right, the second part is about prompting techniques. I have divided into 5 levels so that you know what's the basic and what is the advanced, and you can then measure how much advanced techniques or how much advanced of prompting engineering practice that you are at. Now for the first level, it's about the main components. Typically you will start right here. There are 3 main components in writing a prompt. The first one is the specific task that you want the LLM to do. For example, a specific task here can be write a cover letter. That's the write part. That's a task for the LLM to do. Another one example of possible task is summarize. Summarize this letter for me. It could be classification or sentiment analysis. It would be like classify the customer review into good, neutral, or bad. So these are examples of tasks. You usually start with an action word like write, summarize, classify, brainstorm, create something, right? This is a task. Then the second component is a context. It's actually you need to provide some information or situation to the language model to know, okay, what is this task about? Now, for example, if a task is write a cover letter, I need to provide the context that, okay, I'm applying for a senior AI engineer position at some company, and I might need to attach a job description to help it perform its task writing a cover letter better. This is a second component. It will be depending on the task that you ask the LLM or the generative AI to do. And then the third component is the output format, or the format of the output that you want the LLM to do. You need to specify it. Maybe this cover letter, I want it to be concise, so I can specify that I want a 1-page cover letter in a formal and conventional style. So I specifically ask for formality and traditional format. Or another, if you are working on a different task, this, for example, I can ask the LLM to extract names and entities from provided article, copy and paste maybe. But for the output format, I would like it to extract names and entities and answer it in XML formats. So these are the specific output formats that I want the LLM to do. Then you will combine these basic 3 main components together into a prompt. This is an example from Google's Prompt Guide 101. Now, Google has the 4th element called persona. Is actually the second level in my definition, but basically you will combine the 3 main things that we covered in level 1, task, context, output format, into a prompt, and that is sufficient enough to kick off a good result from the ChatGPT or Gemini. That's level 1, again, task, context, and output format. Now you enter level 2. You add a persona for the AI or the AI character or role playing. This will give the AI system context how it should extract insights from its training dataset. Well, to do this well, you need to provide specific roles to it. You are not going to say, be a helpful assistant. This is very generic and it's already doing that job already. So you need to be more specific. For example, going back to the task of writing a cover letter, I can ask the LLM to act as a senior HR consultant working in a world-class headhunter company. Now, this will prime the LLM or the condition to extract its insight from its training data. Okay, what is a senior HR consultant look like, and how this person would think when helping a person like me writing a cover letter, right? So level 2 is adding persona to the AI, and you need to be specific in this persona. I'll give more example here. Maybe you want the AI to act as a creative copywriter. You will say, act as a senior award-winning creative copywriter working at such and such journals, for example. Or you can ask, act as a senior software developers working in the front end and back end web development. And then you tell the AI the task, the context, and the prompt. All right, this is level 2. You can write down where you are at. Are you level 2 or are you level 1 still? Now, level 3, it's actually about the structure of the prompt itself. And this, when you clear it up, you'll make some structure to the prompt. It actually helps the LLM understand better. So think about it this way. If a prompt is a house, maybe a house is too big. If a prompt is a condo room, right? You want your condo room to be neatly organized, and then you will live comfortably, right? But if everything is messed up, like your sofa is in the kitchen area and somehow a pot of pan is in the bedroom, well, you maybe the LLM can understand that, but it will likely get confused. So formatting your prompt is also helping improving your prompt quality. The first thing to do is organize it into sections. Now you have 4 sections or 4 components in level 1 and level 2. You have persona, you have task, you have context, and you have output format. Now group them into sections, and then you need to there is a way to order them. Which one should come first? Should I put the format, output format first? Most likely not. You will usually start with the persona, and then you will follow with task, context, and format. So these things should be run in sequence, right? You can also, if your prompt is more complex than the 4 components, for example, if you include example, and we will see that in the next level, if you include example, or if your prompt becomes very complex, now in order to structure it well, or at least give a signal to the LLM that, okay, this is this section is about role, you need to use tags. You can use HTML or Markdown style tags to help you with that. And okay, this is an example that combine these 2 tips or techniques together. Here, act as a senior HR consultant. This part is an AI character part. Usually it comes first. Then this is a situation. I am applying for a role at OpenAI. This is a context or situation part. Now the task is write a cover letter for a senior AI engineer position. This is a task part. Now I will need to provide more context to this task, and this is a job description. To signal the start and end of the job description, I use HTML tag to help me. So I said the job description is the following. Open the tag, HTML open tag, and then I include the text in there, and I close it with the same tag. And then This is the output format. Your output cover letter will be a one-page cover letter in a formal conventional style. As you can see here, I combine these two steps together. First thing first, organize the sections of the prompt into the best practice way. Role, context, task, more context, and required output format. And you can use, again, you can use tags, HTML, XML or HTML or even Markdown tags to help you structure better. This is another example from Entropic's guide, and you can see here that, okay, this is the start of the prompt. This will start with the task right away. Please extract the key details from the following emails and return them in HTML tags. These tags are specified to be, this is the output format. Sender should be, when you extract the sender name, you need to use this HTML tag. Main topic should be sandwiched between these HTML tags, and deadlines or date should be between these HTML tags. So these are output format HTML tags. But then this is a section where you provide context. In this particular task is the email that the LLM should be analyzed. Now the content of the email is enclosed email HTML tags, XML tags. Sorry. So this flow is here: task, output format, context. This works for short enough prompt. It might not need to follow the usual structure of role, task, context, output format. All right, last one. We're still in level 3, by the way, formatting the prompt. So last one is the templates. This actually helps in letting the LLM know what kind of answer it should provide. It will help you remove the extraneous words. If you use ChatGPT a lot, you will probably recall this one. When you ask something and you hit enter, it will usually start with some extraneous word like, sure, here is the cover letter, and then the cover letter. So if you provide some template, you can remove these extraneous words. This is an example. The prompt is, acting as a senior quality assurance officer, your task is to determine whether a given user review is good, neutral, or bad. And you give it a template. An example: review, this is the review, a sentiment is good. Then the actual review that you want it to do, you put it there, and you start with the template, sentiment. And guess what? When you submit this to ChatGPT or Gemini, you will get bad, just bad. No more sure, here is the result. Okay, use the template wisely to get to the output format that you want. That's level 3 now, okay? Can you recall level 1? What is it? Level 1 is the three main things of prompt: task, context, and output format, or the formatted output that you want. Level 2 is providing AI character, and level 3 is formatting your prompt. Level 4, providing examples, and this is actually very, very powerful. It's also known as few-shot learning, or end-shot learning, or in-context learning. Fancy words, but what it means is you provide the LLM enough examples so that it can learn from the given example how to do the task well. This is useful because you'll get the LLM to learn on the job, and also you set a clear expectations of the desired outputs. Let me show you what I mean. Building on the previous example, again, like acting as senior quality assurance officer, the task is still to provide the sentiment for a given user review, good, neutral, or bad. But the thing is, this time we are not interested in getting one classification. We want a distribution of likelihood. For example, if the review is this movie is worth the money, I might want the answer to be like this. It's likely to be 100% positive, no chance for neutral or negative. But if the review is not bad, I want to see, okay, this maybe is not going to be positive, maybe 70% neutral and 30% negative. And I give another example here. It could be 30% neutral and 70% negative. And this is the actual user review that I want the LLM to grade. So what is happening underneath here before the LLM will answer is that it will actually learn from the example. What is happening to this this input and the associated response? So it would know that I want to attach a percentage or the likelihood of this user review to be positive, a likelihood of this user review to be neutral, and a likelihood of this review to be negative. So when you run this, you will see 3 sections: positive, neutral, and negative right here. So this is called in-context learning, few-shot learning, in-shot learning. And you know what? This looks simple, but it has a huge impact on the performance. If you dive into very effective prompts out there, if you get your hands on it, you will see that most of the time it will have this part, this technique, providing examples. I even use it at my company. We have something that we want to classify, or even we have a lot of data that users, employees most of the time, needs this message to be arranged into a table, but it doesn't have templates for this, but it's structured enough for the LLM to know. So what I did, I can't show you here, but I can tell you how I did it. So I get one of that task, I hand do it myself, manually do the answer, and I pick another sample, I manually do the sample. I did it for 10 examples, and it provided into Gemini 1.5 Pro. And that's it, guys. With 10 examples, my prompt can handle 99% of the samples of the issues that we have in the company. Basically, I solved it with the LLM. All right. Technique level 5. Well, this is technique level 5. It's the chain of thought prompting. This is easier as it seems, but it's a high-level technique. It's a high-level LLM capability. You get to level 5 when you pick a smart enough large language model. You might not be able to trigger chain of thought if you use Llama 3 8 billion parameter, but you can use chain of thought for a GPT-4o. So chain of thought prompting, it's a technique that triggers the LLM to think logically and think in sequence. But again, this level 5 technique is basically providing guides to the LLM yourself, or you ask the LLM to break the task down into steps and execute them. Right. So there is a magic word to trigger this thing. It's just, let's do this step by step. Something like this, along this line. And then you will trigger the chain of thought from the large language model, if it's big enough. Or big enough, you can think of it as GPT-4, Claude, Opus, or Gemini 1.5 Pro. Those big LLM usually have chain of thought capability. Now, there are a few variants for this technique. A zero-shot chain of thought prompting means you don't provide example. You just ask it to do on its own. And this is an example of this kind of prompt technique. Solve the following math problem step by step. And that's it. You provide a keyword to trigger the chain of thought thing, think it step by step, and then you provide a problem to solve. So this works for simple enough tasks to do. But if you can mix level 4 technique, examples, or few shot chain of thought. In this paper, well, a copy from a paper, the chain of thought, few shot chain of thought is like this. You have examples, you provide example here, a question, and then you provide step-by-step answer, and then you ask the actual task that you want the LLM to solve, and this will trigger the chain of thought capability. Well, if I want to explain the chain of thought in another way, is you actually let the LLM think, give it time to think. Time for the LLM is the number of tokens it's typing out. If you don't allow it to think, it's likely to get the answer wrong. For example, it's a situation on the left of this image where you force the LLM to just come up with the answer. On the other hand, for chain of thought, even zero shot prompting, when you signify, let's think step by step, or you provide a template that here, this is the questions, this is the solution step by step, you trigger the LLM to start thinking logically, taking time to answer. So it will just keep thinking like one token at a time. So it looks like it's using logic. And eventually with that time, in terms of token, you guide the LLM towards the right answer. That's simple enough, right? Now, this is level 5, guys. So for most of you guys, for most of the people I know, they're not even at level 4. They never used up to level 4, and they are stuck with mediocre prompt and results. Now, to be honest, if you can provide examples to the LLM via prompt, that should boost quite a lot of performance from your day-to-day prompting task. Alright, in the last section, we are going to talk about tips and techniques, other tips and techniques to help squeezing out performance from prompting the LLM. First one is use natural language. That's simple enough. Be concise and specific. Here is a thing. If you repeat the same sentence, maybe like paraphrasing it, but these sentences are scattered all over the place, it could confuse the LLM. First. Second, you'll waste tokens, right? So be concise and be specific. Back to the AI character example, you want to be specific about the role that the AI wants. And if you are, for example, if you're writing, if you ask the LM to help you write a blog, you need to provide target audience. Maybe you are targeting office worker, age between 25 and 35, who's likely to start developing office syndrome. So you have to provide specificity so that the LM know you well and give you the right answer. Fourth one, avoid jargons or technical terms. If it's unavoidable, provide brief description. Well, the LLM are usually trained on general knowledge found on the internet. If you are an engineer, for example, in a very specific domain, and you guys often use abbreviations, do not use it here. The LLM would not know. Well, I know FWM in photonics world, four-wave mixing. It's very unlikely that like ChatGPT will know, right? So you need to provide a brief definition for it if you want to use jargons, technical terms, or abbreviations. Fifth, allowing the LLM to feedback you. This is actually crucial as well. You don't need to think everything on your own. You can allow the LLM to ask clarifying questions, identify gaps in your prompt, and actually do it quite often when I'm not sure if I have covered all the aspects that I should think about. One of the example that I can give you is that I have my custom GPT so that I can quickly do the work. And then what I did was I asked ChatGPT, here's a task, and I provide task, context, formatted outputs, and even the AI persona. But before I actually ask it to do things, I close it up with, before you do things for me, before you do the task, identify gaps, or you can ask me clarifying questions so that the task can be done better. And or even Gemini will list out things that it thinks it needs to incorporate into its processing, right? One of the things is I asked it to help me write a description for my YouTube video like this one. And I asked it to bounce me the ideas. What are the gaps? One of the things that it told me is that, who's your audience? That's simple enough, and I forgot. And yes, actually, I then incorporate that to one, to be one context in the prompt, target audience. Now, number 6, ask for 3 options or variations to choose from. This one is, I learned this from Jeff Su, which is great, I think. So, usually, most of the time it works, but if you want to have a draft of cover letter, maybe you need more variations. Why? This is actually the thing in the community as well. When the LLM produces results, right now it cannot correct itself. When it predicts one token or one word, it needs to keep going. There is no way for it to go back and delete what it has produced. So this is the drawback. I think the community is trying to solve it. In order, you can get a few, you can ask it for a few rounds of answers or 3 options, and you will be able to see the one that you want, maybe the one that's best, or you can actually mix and match from these variations. So don't forget to do this, especially for creative works like draft me a blog or write me a cover letter. Don't forget to ask it for 3 variations. Tips number 7, if somehow it still couldn't get the right answer that satisfies you, try to step back and rephrase your task. Maybe you need to break it down into easier tasks, and then you need to chain your tasks together, or maybe like role play. I don't know. Refresh your task and it could be better. Tip number 8. This is only for chat interface like ChatGPT or Gemini. Don't forget that you can always go back to the chat history and edit your prompt. Yeah, we're coming back to the working iteratively. Don't forget that you have these features when using tools like ChatGPT or Gemini. Well, this is a conclusion, guys. You know the mindset of working with prompts. Playful, iterative, start broad and keep working on it. Sculpture your prompt to the one that is final, effective, and specific. You have 5 levels of prompting techniques. Level 1, main components, comprised of task, context, and output. Level 2, AI persona or character. Formatting your prompt well. Keep organizing into sections. You can use XML tags or Markdown tags if your prompts get complicated. And you can use templates to remove extraneous words, right? That's level 3. Level 4 is few-shot learning, end-shot learning, or in-context learning. Basically, provide examples for the LLM to learn on the job. Level 5, chain of thought. This one is easy, but you need a powerful LLM like Gemini 1.5 Pro, GPT-4, GPT-4 or Claude, Entropic Claude Opus. The trick is just use the word, let's do this step by step, or you need to provide sub-steps yourself, and then you ask it to do step by steps. By the way, this blog, This blog is assisted by GPT-4o, and this is the prompt that helps me start my blog. Well, I need to do some fine tuning at the end, but the blog is starting like this. Here, this is my prompt and award-winning blog writer, and you will help me write my blog. This blog is about best practice and guide in prompt engineering. The final blog should target the general audience, Therefore, keep language easy, concise, and friendly. If any technical words should be used, but must be accompanied by short explanation. I haven't seen anything like that yet. Most of the things are quite generic. Here is the context. I have started the structure of the blog, provided some talking points, and I left some places to fill in more details. And I used the X and Loud tags to start. This is a blog. Section 1, Untitled. It needs to fill in the gap for me. And these are my thoughts when I write this section. I want this section to be about this one, blah, 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 section 2, 3, 4, section 3, 3.1, keep going. And I close it off with the task. Again, go back, the situation, the general context of what is happening, the AI character at the top part, the context, the actual thing that the AI needs to work on, the input in this section. And then I close it off with the actual instruction set I want it to do. Here's a list of subtasks you should do. Analyze the blog draft, criticize how to improve the presentation, that is, the flow of presenting the ideas. Then you may suggest new suggestions, rearrangement, etc. about the blog structure. Number 3, for each section, identify key points and actions, such as filling more information, providing example for each section. Number 4, suggest 3 alternative titles for each section. And number 5, start writing each section from bottom to top. You are going to work with me through these steps, one step at a time. And yeah, it is as it is. It will start off with this one. It asks me for feedback when I'm satisfied or it has enough answer. It will go to number 2, and we keep working until I get this, the first draft, and I just keep editing for a few minor editing. And here it is. It's up here, guys. 1 hour to finish this whole thing. Capiche? Alright, on the second topic, this is also very exciting topic as well. Now that we have learned the basic of prompting or effective prompt writing, this is a tool to uplift you to the next level. MetaPrompt is the prompt generator. Oh, right here. Again, guys, don't forget to subscribe to Case Done by AI. We are on Substack for blog, but we also have LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, and even GitHub repo for the code that I will share with you guys here. All right, let's start. MetaPrompt is actually a prompt generator. It will help you write effective prompts. And in this section right here, we are going to the MetaPrompt itself, see what is happening underneath, and after that we are going to do a quick demo when I use the MetaPrompt and show you the result, the prompt that is crafted for me. Alright, MetaPrompt is actually a mega prompt. Well, yeah, a play of words right here. But the thing is, writing effective prompt is, as we have seen, is doable, but it takes time, diligence, art, and science. Whatever it is, it needs you to keep doing it until you excel at it. 5 level of techniques, that's just a start, guy. You have a lot more to do. Alright, Andrew Ng said that effective prompt is actually very long, maybe more than a page long. If you have seen system prompts for the Entropic Claude chat-based, you'll see that it's long too. So this gives birth to a notion of a mega prompt, a prompt that is so long because it's meant to behave really, really well. If you come to this blog for the first time, you can come here to actually read about the prompt engineering guide for 2024 that we were just talking about. Now, a question for you guys. What if you have an AI that help us create effective prompts? The answer is MetaPrompt, right here. It's actually introduced by Entropic. Entropic, thank you very much for providing this MetaPrompt for free, and it's going to be helpful for many people. Now, MetaPrompt is very big. It's a mega prompt. On its own, it's very long. You can see it in the appendix of this blog, which I have clicked just to give you a quick look of the MetaPrompt right here. Here, guys, so many examples in here. So long, takes probably an hour or more to craft this mega prompt. Yeah, thanks Entropic for putting up the work for the whole world. Now, what we are going to do here is we are going to dive into this meta prompt section by section, and then you will see that it's just the best practice that we covered in our prompt. So basically, these are the sections. Section number 1, it covers situation, context, and persona. You see the level 3 prompt technique, prompt formatting. It follows this from prompt formatting principle right here. Section 1 contains situation, context, and the persona for the AI. Section 2 provide examples. So yeah, level 4 technique, few shot learning, and end shot learning is here. Now, section 3, part number 3 is the actual instruction, and you will see that it applies some kind of chain of thought principle. Basically, it's providing subtasks, subroutines to do, and then the last section is the note section. Yeah, more specificity into the prompt. All right, let's dive deep into MetaPrompt. The first part, situation, context, and persona. This is the part that comes first in the MetaPrompt. Here it is. Today, you will be writing instructions to an eager, helpful, but inexperienced AI assistant. This is the persona of the target audience, which is now the AI itself, right? So this AI, this prompt, using by one AI, is writing prompt for another AI. So this is the target audience. So this unruly user AI needs careful instructions and examples to understand how to behave, right? This is a target audience. Unskillful AI assistants. Now, I will explain a task to you. You write instructions that will direct the assistant on how best to accomplish the task consistently, accurately, and correctly. Basically, set up the situation, set up the context of where this is going, and the target persona, right? This is a pro tip, right? You paint the whole picture up front. Okay, part number 2, examples of how to do the task. As I mentioned, MetaPrompt employs end-shot learning, providing a lot of example for the LLM to learn on the job. Again, this is a pro tip. Like, example is very complex because it has so many things, so many possibilities. Therefore, the team uses XML tags to organize the structure of these prompts so that the LLMs will not be confused. This is the main part. It's the very long part of the MetaPrompt. It starts with, here are some examples of tasks and instructions. Just to remind you, this AI needs to write an instruction for a task. A task can be described in very briefly, but this task will need to be converted to an effective prompt or effective instructions. So the example here is a pair of tasks and instruction set. So this is one example to the LLM. It has a task section. A task section is described here, and it will have an example instruction sessions right here, and that closes it. So this is one example that's given to the LLM, and in this one example you have a task section and you have the instructions or the effective prompt section. This part is very, very important. It squeezes out the performance of the AI. Few shot learning, guys. Part number 3, it's the actual instructions that the LLM needs to follow after it has learned from the given example. Now the pro tip is that note that this action, this section about the actual instruction, is often close to the end of the prompt. As you have seen, this is part 3 already, and part 4 is just some notes. So yeah, the actual instructions are usually at the bottom. It starts with that concludes the examples because it's behind part number 2, right? Now here is the task for which I would like you to write instructions for, and this is a task. This is actually the input that the model needs to think in order to work, and these are the instructions. To write your instructions, follow these instructions specifically. Instruction 1, instruction 2, instruction 3. So basically, the author of this prompt break down the task to the specific output that they want. The second pro tip here is notice the use of capital cases to stress the importance, like these. Follow these instructions only. Or do this before that. So the LLM knows that if you put a word in capitalization, it's important. So use this tip as well. Note number 4, part 4 is about notes. So this section outlines other details, specifics that you need the LLM to follow. And notice that the template, back to level 3 technique, formatting your prompt. So notice the template here. It's notes, detail, notes, detail. So it helps organize the information that the LLM needs to understand. And again, you need to notice that the author actually went out of their ways to be explicit and avoid anything that LLM would implicitly guess on its own. Look at this. This is probably obvious to you already, but you're not completing the task here. Emphasis right there with the asterisk sign. So if you think there's a chance that the LLM will think on its own or hallucinate, write it out. And now it's time to try it for yourself. But before we do that, I actually want you to take a look at the prompt, the MetaPrompt, one more time again. I have copied the whole prompt into Sublime because I want you to see color coding so you can distinguish between parts well. So this is, let me just increase the size. So this is part number 1, where a situation, a context, and a persona parts are established here. And then this signals that few-shot learning, end-shot learning is taking place here. You can see XML tags are used in order to make information into a well-structured thing. Task instruction examples will contain a task part, even some necessary inputs to process that task, and the instructions task. So yeah, this is the crappy prompt, and this is the well-crafted prompt based on this task. That's one example. Now the first example finishes here. The second example starts here. Start with the task again, some input, and then a well-crafted prompt follows. That's finished the second example. Now you have a third example right there, and then it keeps going, and you can see how deep this thing goes. This is the examples that the LLM have learned. This part 2, is really long. Right, yes, you need to do this to make a good system prompt, right? Now, after the examples, here is the instruction part. That concludes the example. That's it. Instruction part is so short. And some details for what it should or should not do is in the note section at the bottom right here. Now you have seen that there's a lot of effort in putting this example together. So thank you so much, Entropic, for doing this for us. Alright, as mentioned, this is free on the internet. Entropic has provided this in a downloadable, copyable Colab notebook. But the thing is, if you want to run this notebook in full, you need Entropic API key, which you can buy. But you can also mod this to work with any LLM that you want. And this is what we are going to do today. We are going to mod this Colab to work with OpenAI GPT-4o. Let's get started. Oh, by the way, this prompt is huge, and I am going to use GPT-4, so I copy and paste the whole MetaPrompt into Tiktokanizer, and just the prompt itself is about 6,600 token. This is huge, so make sure that you pick an LLM with a large enough context window, for which GPT-4o is enough. Its context window, if I can recollect correctly, it's at 128,000 tokens. So 6,000 is child play for GPT-4o, and that's what we want today. Another thing is, you want to pick smart enough LLM as well, because this prompt is huge. It's a complex prompt. To be honest, I have tried this MetaPrompt with Llama 3 8 billion parameter. The result is not that great. You can try it yourself, or you might be able to modify this prompt to make it easier, but that's for you to try. And if you have tried, let me know as well and share it with the community. All right, let's come to the coding. This one is going to be technical. I'm not going to say it's difficult, it's technical, but I think you can follow me. So the end goal here is for us to create a Gradio interface where I could have just run it. All right, I'm just going to run this thing to show you what the final output looked like, and then we'll come back to the notebook later. Conda activate OpenAI. So Python main.py. Here we go. It's in my local, but I made it so that it can be accessed. Well, what the hell? Just use this one then. Okay, so with this link, I can give it to anyone on the internet, and he or she will be able to use this tool. Don't worry, I'm going to close the server after this video, so you are not going to be able to use it. But if you have done it my way, you can send this link to anyone in the world, and he or she will be able to use it. This is the final output that we are going to do today, guys. We have made a UI, user interface, where you can type in a task. That's not going to work, so maybe like help me write a summary of this lecture note. And the necessary input for this task to work is lecture note. Then you can hit run, and then you will see things that I can provide you with more information later. But your effectively crafted prompt will be given under this section. And you can also see raw output from ChatGPT, GPT-4o as well. So this is the end goal of our coding session today. So let's get back to how structure. All right, let's clear everything. Am I at the top? So I'm going to close this terminal. I am going to select kernel to be OpenAI. So firstly, importing anything that you want, then provide your load up. This section is about getting the API key from OpenAI and give it to the OpenAI class, create a client that is ready to communicate with OpenAI. I'm going to share this code with you on the internet, but I will remove the API key, OpenAI API key. You need to fill in this information before you can run your code. Now, the MetaPrompt itself is contained in this file to make this notebook clean. But if you want to take a look, it's essentially what I copy and paste from Entropic's free collab notebook and what we have discussed in the blog. So I'm going to close it here. All right, so I am going to load the prompt from the file. Just check that this is good. So I can MetaPrompt, I can print the first 20 character and maybe last 20, just to have a peace of mind that everything is right. Yeah, that's fine. All right, so the MetaPrompt is loaded. What is happening here is I need to show you this then. So what you need to do here is you need to replace this with the task. So the task in this box will need to be inserted into this one. This is easy. This is easy, right? There are other things that you need to do. The end goal is to send a message to OpenAI. The way it works here, wow, I should have wrapped it up. Okay, but here, this is the message that you need to send to OpenAI server. It has two components. The first one is a system message, where it's actually the MetaPrompt itself. This one is the MetaPrompt where this task is replaced with the specific task that it needs to do. All right, we need to make that function, copy the information in the input text box, put it into the MetaPrompt right here. Another thing that you need is assistance partial. It's essentially, if you read this one, it's essentially providing the AI to know that, okay, this is the input needed to complete a specific task. And this is a list of the inputs. And here you can see here, input something, and it closes off with this. This one is a signal to the AI that, okay, you see this signal, it means that you are working here. Oops, sorry. Here, so it actually works with this prompt in a way that the AI see this tag and it knows that, okay, this is the step that it needs to do right now. And also, step number 1, input, it resonates with this code right here. So For the user interface that I show you, this task, this one is responsible for being inserted into the MetaPrompt, but the input thing is responsible for defining this thing. And these are helper functions to help me process what I put in my text box into this step right here. This is a text box, input from the text box. I split the input into different words using a comma separated list, and I massage it into to remove the endings, blank endings, and I capitalize everything, and then I will have two text, right? I have a list of inputs, and then I embed everything in this structure, right? So this is my wrapper. Now, this functions takes care of getting text from the task text box and insert into the MetaPrompt. And the way I insert is it there is just doing this. MetaPrompt, replace this one with this one, and that's it. That's sufficient. Yeah. Once you have the prompt and the partial prompt, you have a history message. That when you have a history message, you can send information over to client ChatGPT, and then the magic will happen there, and we'll get the response back. In my code, there are 5 more functions that I copy and paste from Entropic's free Colab notebooks. It's just to help clean up things. You can look for more information there. And I have modified something to work with my code as well. Now, these are helper functions. I think you can go get away without doing this as well. But I have my reasons that I want to show output in the way that I want, and therefore I need to massage or modify these functions later. Now, the main thing here, main function. Main function is here, is the run function. What happens here is you provide in this into this box and you hit run. It will execute everything for you, and the output will be populated right here. Right, as you can see here, when you hit run, it will take information from the 2 text boxes, the task text box and the input text box, create the assistance partial variable from this function, create a prompt, the meta prompt with information inserted there, craft a history using function, and then wrap everything, send it to OpenAI GPT-4 and receive the response back. And then I pass or extract information from the response to be shown in the following section. To be shown in these 2 boxes there. It will be filled when it has something, but I also want to show you raw output from the OpenAI server as well. Alrighty, so this last section of the code is just putting things in UI made by Gradio right here, right? And this is the notebook. I should run it, right? Okay, I have run this code, have I? Yes. Here it is. This is when I run it, it will look like this. By the way, this notebook has is a little bit behind the main. I add a few more features to the main thing. But yeah, this is what it looks like. Now, let's actually go to the main. Main is actually the same thing, same functions whatsoever. I just added a few more things at the back. At the very end, when I click the button, it will populate 3 things. This code is going to be on GitHub. If you would like to have an early access, subscribe to our channel, and then when I have uploaded it, I will notify you and the world for it as well. Hopefully in a few days after this video. Alright, let's go and play. Okay, here is the Gradio interface that I run, the server. I have run the Gradio for my code. It's a prompt generator code. Now, a simple task. A task is help me write summary for this lecture note, and I will provide it with a lecture note. So what I want here is I want the MetaPrompt, master prompt, one prompt to rule them all, to write an effective prompt for me. I'm going to click run, and everything is going to happen. Send it to OpenAI, and I received my effective prompt back. Takes a few seconds, so I can explain what is happening here. So if you go back to the MetaPrompt, there is a section called instruction structure. So basically, this step of the task tells the LLM that plan out your action in sequence. Here, plan out how you will structure your instruction, aka plan out how you will structure your prompt. In particular, plan where you will include variables or inputs, and it should come before that. And then this is the structure. Basically, it's going to plan out how it's going to write me the effective prompt. And then the last section is the prompt itself. Then that is what you are seeing here. Instruction structure. Oops, sorry. Instruction structure is, I want to take a look into what it's thinking. This is what it thinks. It will need to it needs to write an introduction about the task and the role. It will need to needs the presentation of the lecture note. Then it will need instruction on how to analyze and summarize the lecture note. And then it will need some guidelines on the format and the content of the summary. And then the reminder to be concise and clear. So this is what the AI thinks it needs to consider to draft me, to write me an effective prompt. And on the right hand side, this is its effective prompt that it's giving me. You are going to help write a summary of a lecture note. Your goal is to create a concise and clear summary that captures the main points and key details of the lecture. Bangs on. I just don't want the summary to be like 1 or 2 sentences. I want the key details as well. Here is the lecture note. So it's enclosed in this thing. When you're actually using this, you will insert the information there. And then the next section is follow these steps to create the summary. So it actually breaks down steps in this prompt. Carefully read through the entire lecture note to understand the main topics and key points discussed. That's right, I agree. Second one, identify the main sections and headings within the lecture note. That's right too. For each section, extract the most important points and details, focus on the core ideas and supporting information that is crucial to understanding the topic. That's right. And then write the summary. It knows that it needs to take a look at the materials, analyze it, extract information that it needs, and then write a summary. This is very, very good, right? All right, at the bottom in my code, will actually see raw output from OpenAI. So this is, the output that OpenAI give me before I pass everything into a nicely displayed version in Markdown. And this is actually in text. You can see XML tags used appropriately here. XML used for lecture notes right there. Here we go. Write your summary inside a summary tag. So this section provides the format for the desired output. Cool. Well, what if I don't give it inputs? I hope it can identify that input should be a lecture note should be an input. Let's try. This condition is written in the instruction as well. Write down the bare blah 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 to make a reference. Some tasks may require only one variable. Rarely will be more than 2 or 3. Right. So yeah, you can, here we go. I haven't provided input, but it knows that it needs lecture note as an input here. For this one, there is no instruction structure. In the MetaPrompt, you can actually see here that the MetaPrompt allows the LLM to skip the instruction structure part. I don't know where it is particularly, but it should be there. Well, I will leave it with you to figure out, but it's there. It's actually said that if your task, if the AI thinks that this task is simple enough, skip the instructions structure part. But look at the quality here. You'll be helping to write a summary of a lecture note. Here's a lecture note. It knows that this is the input that it needs. Now, follow these steps in to complete the task. Read and understand, identify main points, key concepts, write concise summary, ensure that summary is clear and well organized. Yeah, actually a very good thing. By the way, this might not be your final prompt that you can use right off the bat, but at least it is an effective prompt to start with, right? You now have an effective prompt draft. You can add more details. You can adapt it in order to do your final task eventually. All right. This is it, guys. We have finished our section about the MetaPrompt, a prompt that will rule everything. It will create prompt for you. So to sum up my video and our video today, the first section you have learned about prompt engineering practice, the guide for the year 2024. We have collected all the best practices out there that will make you from beginner to master very, very quickly. Always start with the mindset, guys. You need to have the right mindset: playful, experimental, iterative, and you have 5 levels of techniques. And now the second part is a very exciting part. Now you have a prompt that can generate effective prompt for you as a MetaPrompt. And you have seen demo. You can take my code and run it on your in your application at your work. Yes, it's going to help a lot of people, and honestly I'm going to use this in my work. Let my co-workers use it as well. So thank you for staying with me this far. Again, Case Done by AI. Don't forget to subscribe. We have YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn, and Substack for blogs. Thank you very much and have a good day.